Hi guys, how you guys doing? I'm live. Let me know if you can hear me or not. I'm on my walk. I want to do a road walk music lesson, and I want to that as a second here. As I think about myself and everything, physical beauty is very important to me. If I didn't see something in my parents, I probably would not play guitar. But at the same time, music itself is very important to me. It's a passion of mine, and I do care how I play and how I sound on an instrument, and I do care about music. And so there's no contradiction there in my book, between my physical side and my creative side. I like both. Anyway, want to do a music theory lesson here. Let me know if you guys can't hear me. I'd like to know. I like to talk about keys, Keys, like keys of guitar. Back to you guys. Keys in music, not just guitar music, of course, because that's just one instrument.
Wait.
But I'd like to talk about how I look at keys and the circle of fifths and key signatures and all that. So let's start with minor keys for some reason. It seems like when we start with majors, we're going to feel like we finished, and we haven't. So let's start with the minors first. Sometimes I see the keys in different intervals other than just chromatic or circle of fifths. I often think of them in whole tone scales. There's two whole tone scales in 12-tone music. They are C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, B flat, and C. And they are also, the other one is F, G, A, B, C sharp, E flat, F. One of several ways of saying all that, but that was the one I chose. What's interesting to me is that one of the whole tones has three notes that are white keys and three notes that are sharps or flats, or black keys. The other whole tone scale has four notes that are white keys, no sharps and flats, and two notes that are sharp and flat or black keys. So there's 3 and 3 black and white in one of the whole tone scales, and there's 4 and 2 black and white in one of the other whole tone scales. And I want to talk about how I see key signatures, and I want to kind of do it in a whole tone scale format, because it really lends itself well to the guitar fretboard. Nothing's that much easier than going up two half steps at a time, maybe even on one string if you look at it that way. Nothing's much more simple than that on the guitar. I mean, there's very little else that can be more simple than that. It's about as simple as it gets. It's a good way to start, to think of key signatures and stuff by looking at it as two separate whole tone scales and then stuff like that. So anyway, let's start with the C one. In C, let's say I start with C, and I said, well, we start with minor. So C minor has 3 flats, and then next one is D minor has 1 flat. So as you go up to a whole step, you go down by 2 flats, because you sharp 2 by going up a whole step, because a whole step is 2 perfect fifths upwards. So that's consistent. And then E is 3. E is 1 sharp. Yeah. So if D is 1 flat and I go up 2 sharps, then I go to 1 sharp, because -1 plus 2 is +1. So E is 1 sharp. Then I have F sharp is 3 sharps. That's consistent, because you went up two half steps from E to get F sharp, and so F sharp has 3 sharps, and then I do it as G sharp, which has 5 sharps. That's a good way of looking at it. You can think of it as A flat, which has 7 flats, but that's harder to deal with, because you have 7 flats. It's harder to deal with than just doing 5 sharps. I'd rather deal with 5 sharps than 7 flats, but that's just me. That's G. So G sharp has 5 sharps, and then I do B flat for minor. B flat minor has 5 flats. You can think of that as A sharp, but then again, that's 7 sharps. And that's harder to do than 5 flats, which is B flat. And then you're back to C minor, which is which is 3 flats, which makes sense because if since B flat minor had 5 flats and you went up a whole step, then you subtract 2 from that, so C minor has 3 flats, so that's all good. And then for the other whole tone scale, you have F, G, A, B, C sharp, and E flat, and F. So in that whole tone scale, to start with F for the minors, F minor has 4 flats, G minor has 2 flats, A minor has no sharps, no flats, and B minor has 2 sharps. C sharp minor has 4 sharps, and then E flat minor has D sharp minor would have 6 sharps, but you can look at it that way, or you can look at it as E flat minor, which has 6 flats. It's up to I use it both ways, but if I say D sharp minor, that's consistent because there's 4 sharps in C sharp minor, so that means D sharp minor should have 6 sharps, and it does. But the total number of sharps and flats in inharmonic keys is always 12. So if something has 6 sharps, then it also has 6 flats if it's the same note just spelled differently. So E flat has 6 flats, and then you're back to F, which has 4 flats, which is consistent because if I go from E flat to F, I go up a whole step. That means I subtract 2 flats from E flat minor having 6 flats to F minor having only 4 flats, and then that completes the whole tone, the other whole tone scale of minor keys. And and the way I look at it is there's five black keys that can be spelled in sharp or flat, and it's up to how you want to spell it. There's no certain rule, but for me, I use the fact that for me, I use 3 of the black notes as sharps in minor keys, which is F sharp minor, C sharp minor, and G sharp minor. That has 6 sharps, 4 sharps. Wait, I didn't do that right. Wait, I said F sharp has 3 sharps. C sharp has 4 sharps, and G sharp has 5 sharps. And that's how I look at those. And then to the other 2 black keys, I do flats. So I do B flat, which has 5 flats, and then I do E flat, which has E flat has 6 flats. So from 5 to 6. That's how I do it. So so for minor keys, I use 3 sharps. 2 of the black keys I call sharps, and 2 of the black keys I call flats. And I'm now going to major scales. I'm going to see that I do the opposite thing. I do more flats than sharps with the black notes with the major scale. So anyway, now we're at majors. Let's start with a C whole tone. C major is no sharps and flats. D major is 2 sharps. E major is 4 sharps. F sharp major is 6 sharps. It can also be G flat major, which is 6 flats. Next one is A flat major, which is 4 flats. B flat major, which is 2 flats, and then back to C major, which is no sharps and flats. And then for the other whole tone scale, I have F major is 1 flat. C major no sharps. No. G major is 1 sharp. A major is 3 sharps. B major is 5 sharps. C sharp major is for C sharp major, I usually do D flat major. So D flat major has 5 flats, and E flat major has 3 flats, and then I'm back to F major, which has one flat, like I said. So yeah, so that's a good handy way is to look at it in whole tone scales for guitars. It's just really simple. Keyboardists don't have it that easy for a whole tone scale because the keyboard is laid out diatonically, not chromatically. Like it's really hard to go from play a chromatic scale on a keyboard. It's really hard because you have alternations of diatonic scale on one set of keys and pentatonic scale on another set of keys, so it's not symmetrical octave wise. Whereas a guitar is, you have this 12 half steps in a row, choose your pick, and it makes it easy to do key signatures with a whole tone format. And notice that in the whole tone scale thing, of the 7 white notes are no sharps and flats, but of the 5 white notes, I did B flat for one of them, E flat, and A flat for the other. That's 3 flat ones. And then I did F sharp for one of them. And in fact, I even did. There we go. I did a D flat instead of a C sharp for the major also. So that would really mean that I only did 1 sharp, which is F sharp key, and as sharps in this case. And I did 4 of them as flats. That doesn't seem symmetrical with what I did with the minors, but it's up to your decision, how you want to do it. I could have said C sharp, 6, 7 sharps, but D flat has 5 flats, which is easier to deal with. It depends on the musical context. I actually, now I'm being honest in a different way. I usually do see C sharp major as C sharp, as C sharp major, not D flat major, to be honest. I think that restores the symmetry that I thought I'd lost there. When I'm in the key of C sharp major, I don't think of D flat major, I think of C sharp major. It's much more easy for me. So yeah, I take that back. I don't do D flat for 5 flats, I do C sharp for 7 sharps. I do that. So, that's how I look at that. Means that I do take 3 flats for major keys for the black notes and 2 sharps for the black notes for the major keys. For the black keys, I do B flat, E flat, and A flat keys are all 3 black keys, and then I do F sharp and C sharp major, which is 2 white keys. 2 sharp keys. So I use one. The one that's different is the G sharp versus A flat. That's the difference one. In minor keys, I do G sharp major in minor keys because even though that's 7 sharps. So that's 5 sharps. That's 5 sharps. It's 7 flats if I do A flat. So G sharp is 5 sharps. That's what I do. I do C sharp, which is 4 sharps in minor keys. So I do only do the different one between G sharp and A flat. For minors, I do G sharp minor. For majors, I do A flat major. The others are the same. I do B flat for major and minor, E flat for major and minor. I do F sharp for major and minor. I do C sharp for major and minor, and then I do G sharp for minor and A flat and A flat for major. This works for me. So this may have been nonsense if you know your keys like the back of your hand, and this is all boring. It may be that way. So in that case, I'm sorry I bored you and took your time, but I needed to do that. I wanted to do this video because it may not be boring for other people. Some people may look at it and go, that's a good way of looking at it. And a couple tricks I've talked to these already about these, but let's just go over them one more time. Anytime you sharp a note, and keep the same note name, same note letter, you get 7 sharp. You have to add 7 sharps to it. So if I have C, that's no sharps, no flats. If I say C sharp, that's automatically 7 sharps. If I said C sharp, they all get sharped. If I say flat, they all get flatted. So if I say C has no sharps, no flats, and if I say C flat has 7 flats. That's really easy to remember. A minor has no sharps and flats, but A sharp minor has 7 sharps, and A flat minor has 7 flats. So there's that rule. Then there's the rule that Whenever you have two keys spelled the same key spelled different ways, the total number of sharps and flats in each different way of spelling them has to equal 12. This is because whatever key you're on, if you go clockwise, that would be the number of, around the circle of fifths, that's the number of sharps. If you go counterclockwise on the circle of fifths, that's the number of flats. And if you go both directions to any given key, you will always have 12 total, because there's 12 steps around the circle of fifths. There's 12 steps around it. So let's say I'm in the key of C and I want to go to F sharp, G flat. Well, circle clockwise it's 6, because 6 sharps is F sharp. Counterclockwise it's 6, because 6 flats is G flat. And since there's 12 in a full circle, there's 6 in each direction, so 6 and 6 makes 12. And that works for any key you pick. In fact, you could even have the key of B sharp would have 12 sharps, because it would go all the way around the circle of fifths. And the key of D double flat would have 12 flats, because it would go all the way around the circle of fifths to meet C at the middle. You could literally do that if you wanted to. You could say that the key of C is 12 sharps and call it B sharp, or you could call say the key of C is 12 flats and call it D double flat. Or just call it C, no flats, no sharps. But the total number of the same note spelled two different ways is 12. That's 0 plus 12, or 0 plus 12 equals 12. So there's that rule. Then there's the rule that if you go from major to minor, you add 3 flats or subtract 3 sharps. So if I say C major and then I go degrade it to C minor, that's 3 flats more. Or you subtract 3 sharps. In this case, there are no sharps, so you just added 3 flats to go from C major to C minor. And then if I go from minor key to major key, keep the same letter, I make 3 sharps. So A minor has no flats or sharps, but A major has 3 sharps. I added 3 sharps. I didn't have flats to subtract, so I had to go from A minor to A major add 3 flats, and A flat minor add 3 sharps, which means that A major has 3 sharps. Okay, I love you guys.